Many Republicans in the wake of the Orlando nightclub shooting have been claiming to fully support and be filled with empathy for the LGBT community, including lots of politicians that have never in the past had a nice word to say about the people in that community or the community at large. Certainly doesn't support them having even basic human rights, it seems at times. And Anderson Cooper was talking with one of those Republicans in Florida, the Attorney General. Let's watch.
I saw you the other day saying that anyone who attacks the LGBT community, our LGBT community, you said, will be gone after with the full extent of the law.
Exactly right.
I talked to a lot of gay and lesbian people here yesterday who are not fans of yours and who said that they thought you were being a hypocrite, that you for years have fought, you've basically gone after gay people, said that in court that gay people, simply by fighting for marriage equality, were trying to do harm to the people of Florida, to induce public harm, I believe was the term you used in court. Do you really think you're a champion of the gay community?
Let me tell you, when I was sworn in as Attorney General, I put my hand on the Bible and was sworn to uphold the Constitution of the state of Florida. That's not a law. That was voted into our state constitution by the voters of Florida. That's what I was defending. Had nothing to do, I've never said I don't like gay.
I love that response. Like, I don't care. We don't care if you like the person. If you take away their rights and then say, but you're a nice person, you can't have these, but you're a nice person, I like you, that's not like, oh, okay, you win some, you lose some. And they think that if they claim that as Christians they love these people while they demonize them and while they deny them access to the same rights that other people have, that somehow that's balanced out, and it's not, and they need to understand that.
The first part of her argument, could be defended.
The
first part merely that the Constitution required her, the state Constitution, that the voters voted on, required her to work against gay marriage in Florida. But of course, that doesn't account for what Cooper later hammers her on, which is the language. There's a lot of ways to do that. And by the way, as we learned when there were laws in the United States, the Justice Department under Eric Holder, who, again, there's a difference of opinion sometimes here about how effective he was, but there were more than a few occasions where they were like, yeah, we're not going to defend the law. Like the world is changing, and we get that, and we're gonna be on the other side, or we're gonna stay silent. But her language was obviously hostile to gays because Pam Bondi is deceitful and dishonest about that position on gays. And when it was convenient to hammer gays, she did it, as Cooper points out.
Yeah. And look, you could step down from your position. If you're being asked to defend something that's in the Constitution, but that you actually disagree with as this great guardian of the LGBT community, as you are claiming yourself to be, not in words, but by putting yourself in front of their hospital and saying that you're the one who's going to help them. And I understand that it's super inconvenient to have to drop out of your position simply because you're upholding an incredibly immoral policy.
But
then you lose the ability to say that you're the defender of this group.
But you can to some extent, you can have your cake and eat it too. We've seen
where
this cake. It's right out there.
Okay,
we'll take a break. We'll get Michael some cake.
Thanks, that would be great.
You can do it because you could simply say, as we've seen, this law is wrong, but it's the state law. And so I'm going to send my assistant, A's G, in to argue this case. But the fact is, I don't think it's the right law, and I don't think it's right for gay people, but we don't have a choice right now. That's my position. That's it. And then
She's not even really saying that.
No, she didn't do that.
She's saying it's just the law. She's not saying it's wrong.
Yeah, right. And but if you're to believe the first part of it, that she was like, hey, man, it's the law. What do you want me to do? You don't have to make the case to reporters. Like that doesn't. You have to make the case in court. Right. That's it. And you're also an elected official, so you can simply go out there and go, I hate this law, but we have to defend it. That would have made a difference. But
I think a lot of our commentary, will make more sense once we see a little bit more of the interaction between Cooper and Bondi. So why don't we roll the second video?
That's
but
ridiculous.
You do say, but do you worry about using language accusing gay people of trying to do harm to the people of Florida when? Doesn't that send a message to some people who might have bad ideas in mind?
Anderson, I don't believe gay people could do harm to the state of Florida.
But you argued that in court.
My lawyer argued a case defending what the Supreme Court allowed the voters to put in our state constitution.
But you were arguing that gay marriage, if there was gay marriage, if there was same-sex marriage, that would do harm to the people of Florida, to Florida society.
That it was constitutional to put that in this in the Constitution.
Are you saying you did not believe it would do harm to Florida?
Of course not. Of course not. Gay people. No, I've never said that. Those words have never come out of my mouth.
But that is specifically what you were arguing in court.
You know, no. What we argued was it was in the Constitution of the state of Florida.
No, that's not what they argued. In fact, Bondi's office argued that forcing Florida to recognize out-of-state same-sex marriage back in 2014 would, and this is a quote, impose significant public harm. And Bondi made her fight against gay marriage a key issue in her re-election campaign.
Yeah, important to point out that it would be interesting to know what Bondi's 2 ex-husbands have to say about this. She's twice divorced, and I know maybe it's because so many gay people got married, it put public harm onto her marriage.
Maybe she was right.
So it's weird, that her marriages and her instability in marriage didn't affect anybody else.
Maybe she's an expert as a result of that.
Yeah,
I mean, at some point there, you felt like, we've been watching these great, or at least I have, and I'm sure millions of others have as well, some of these great Muhammad Ali fights. And at some point, you were like, oh, somebody help Pam Bondi, get her out of there, throw in the towel. This fight is over. When she's like, no, shut up, I didn't.
We'll wait until you see this third part, because the way it ends especially, Cooper, I'll criticize him afterward. He does a good job in this video.
You know what today's about? Human beings. Today's about victims.
It's about gay and lesbian victims.
It sure is. LGBT victims.
I'm just wondering, is it hypocritical to portray yourself as a champion of the gay community when I'm just reflecting what a lot of gay people have told me they don't see you as
Anderson, I'm not portraying myself as anything other than trying to help human beings who have lost their lives, who are right behind us right now in hospital beds.
It's just that I will say I have never really seen you talk about gays and lesbians and transgender people in a positive way until now. I read your Twitter history for the last year, and I saw you tweeting about, National Dog Month and National Shelter Dog Appreciation Day or Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. It is Gay Pride Month. You've never even tweeted about Gay Pride Month. I mean,
well, actually, if you look at my website now, we have hands clasped together, all different colored rainbow hands.
So you just put that up now?
So, yeah, I did after this horrible tragedy. Absolutely.
That's not a strong defense, then.
So I mean, she should. I mean, her defense in this situation should have been to stick to her guns. This is a tragedy.
That's what they do.
Right. I mean, generally, this is a terrible human loss, but I was against gay marriage.
Yeah,
but you can't really do. I mean,
you can.
It's difficult to do that.
Right, but that's what got her elected, and that's the only way she's going to stay elected. Is by saying what we know.
But she knows that looks terrible, which is good. There's a little bit of self-reflection.
Well, why does it look terrible now, right? She didn't know it looked terrible then when it also looked terrible. It just looks tragic now. And one of the most poignant things that Anderson Cooper said during that whole interaction was when he said, listen, because the laws changed, because you lost, people who are spouses of and related to and dating people who were killed were able to get information on them that they wouldn't have been entitled to at that point, and
he was
he said that.
He also he made he also showed how you can interrupt and challenge without sort of it was without seeming to shout somebody down.
Yeah, persistence doesn't have to be being an asshole.
Yeah, just crush your arms. But I don't think so.
To be fair, I think that he was able to do that against her because she was on the defensive. Like a Trump cuts in and won't stop talking, which makes it difficult. And look, we've criticized, I think, very reasonably Anderson Cooper for the way that he's run some of the more consequential debates and forums and town halls and things like that. His question was good here. I would say the most important thing, and maybe this is unfair, and we're going to have a video of her saying she was sandbagged or whatever. It's one thing to say, did you defend this law back then? It's another to just ask her right now, do you support gay marriage? Do you want gay people to have the same exact rights when it comes to marriage and visitation rights and adoption and all of that? Because she is claiming right now, as she keeps talking about the victims, like just so transparently saying, you can't question me, there's people bleeding in there. But no, you're standing in front of the building, you chose to because you want the cred for standing up for these people, but you don't stand up for these people when they haven't just been shot. And some would make the case that those portions of their life where they're not bleeding are also important to them and their families too.
Yeah, no, look, it's right. I mean, she was weakened, and he went after her. I don't have the same objections that you do because I think the standard was a little different for when we objected to Anderson Cooper's questioning of Donald Trump. But I think that and others, but everything is different now, a little bit with the media. Like, for whatever reason, maybe because it pivoted to a general election and it was it didn't make as much sense to demonize Trump when the audience for these things were people who basically agreed with that, and he was in a race with people who agreed with almost all that he had said. Because there's no question that seemingly in the last 2 weeks, much of the press, incredibly late, dangerously late, because the guy might get elected president, has found a little bit of footing for how to talk about Donald Trump.
Yeah, and
Don't you
also,
think, Michael?
I absolutely think so. I mean, they've found that footing. It's also a two-person race, like you said. I mean, it's a different question you're going to ask in a two-person race. You're also going to have other people. You're going to have more media covering both the general election than you did the primary. So, but there's actually been a different tone. There's also a lot more opposition research coming from the Democrats, and that will happen all year.
And we could get some from the Russians now too.
Totally.
No, but right, of course. But I mean, John Kasich had X amount of dollars to spend on Oppo research against Donald Trump. There are millions and millions of dollars that the Democrats have, and the media
X equals $25.
Right, X equals
X might
$25.
literally be a
Right?
single digit.
Yeah, it might. That's true. $8. But that does make a difference because the press is going to cover the research that's let go. And then just one other thing. This is also advocacy journalism a little bit that Anderson Cooper is doing here. We all know Anderson Cooper is an out journalist who cares about these issues, and his going after Pam Bondi is something he felt clearly responsible to be doing, both as a journalist and
I hope
a
that
human.
I basically think Anderson Cooper comes out on the good side in the television world. And
for sure,
he's pretty good. And I hope
and
I hope that he remembers that this is like that tone. That tone can be used for just about every issue.
Totally.
And he was good at it. So I hope to see more of it.